Yeah, Dark Arista is waiting for the update. Cool, very good, Arisonius. Until that point, though, guys, don't connect Colossal Chest to Refined Store.
Hi, I'm Georgie. Today we're gonna cook a specialty brownie called Tannies. They're not brownies, they're also called butterscotch brownies or blondies. Hi, I'm Georgie. I like to give credit where credit's due. The book we're gonna cook use for most of my recipes specialty brownie called Tannies. They're not brownies, they're all butter fresh cream sugar also packed called book. Butterscotch brownies. Well, we'll be doing, you can see I love this book. Well, we will be doing some low-calorie budget diet recipes later. Tonight we're going to go with a special brownie called Tannies. They're not brownies, they're all butter fresh cream sugar packed called butterscotch brownies. Well, we'll be doing, you can see I love this book. Just in time to see will be doing some how it turns out. Low-calorie budget diet recipes later. Tonight we're going to go with a special brownie called Tannies. All butter fresh cream. When we're done, this is what we're going to have. These are a beautiful, thick, cakey, rich butterscotch brownie. They come out of the oven, they're a little bit puffy. And we're going to set them to the side to cool for about 10 minutes. And we'll explain the foil when we're getting the pan ready again. So, first, we want everyone to know how simple it is to make really good food. Anyone can do it. Even non-cooks can make these. I'm going to show you what equipment we're going to use first. So tonight, we have a large bowl and a small bowl. These are mixing bowls, melamine from Costco. Come in a set of 4. We have 2 measuring cups, a whole cup and a half cup. We have 2 measuring spoons. Well, we have 3. We have 2 whole teaspoons and 1 1/4 teaspoon. This is the dry, this is the wet. There's not a difference, a teaspoon's a teaspoon. But you don't want sticky wet stuff when you're trying to measure dry stuff, so use 1 for each. And 2 bowls. One is microwave safe for melting, and one, I have 2 here because I'm going to demonstrate something, but one is just for catching egg yolks and shells. We have a straight edge for measuring. We have foil for our pan. We have a pastry knife, pastry blender. This is the go-to tool for biscuits, scones, pie crust, and Tannies. That's it. That's our tools. Oh, and the pan, a 13 by 9 by 2 inch baking pan. Our ingredients are even simpler. Oh, and my wooden spoon. I can't forget my wooden spoon. "20 tablespoons of butter." I told you they were rich. This is 2.5 sticks of butter. Vanilla. 4 eggs. Baking powder. Salt. Light brown sugar. And unbleached white flour. Always used unbleached flour. Use real butter. It makes a huge difference. Use real vanilla. First thing we're going to do is melt the butter. I melt butter in the microwave. You can melt it in a pan, but that's another dish. So I'm going to put this in the microwave. The trick to melting butter in the microwave is to do it slowly. For this much butter, we're going to start with 30 seconds. You can start with 15 or 20, whatever you like. The reason you do it slowly is so that your butter does not get so hot that it pops. If it pops, other than the mess you have to clean out of your microwave, you've lost an unknown quantity of butter, which will affect your recipe. So melt it slowly. I'm going to go 30 seconds first. Now my oven is already heated to 350 degrees. Always preheat your oven. That way your cooking time can be consistent. So the next thing we're going to do is prepare our eggs. That's where one of these bowls comes in. I'm going to put this egg into this bowl. I can look at that. If there's any shell, I can get it out. If the egg is bad for any reason, I can throw it out without losing all of my eggs. So there's 4 eggs. There we go. And I know that a lot of people who want this recipe are really good cooks and know their way around a kitchen. And I know a lot of people who could be really good cooks but are afraid of it. They think they can't. And I just want to show them that they can. Excuse my cat. All right. So there we have 4 very clean eggs. We're going to break them ever so slightly. Leave that in there. I'm going to set that over there, and I'm going to go check my butter. Maybe 10 more seconds, 15. All right, next we're going to measure our flour. We want 2.5 cups of flour. That's where our straight edge comes in. Just tap it like this. Always, well, never scoop your flour with your measuring cup. It packs the flour in and it gets dense, and that will affect the flavor of your food. nice level cups. So you just use one to measure into the other, and then you don't need a special scoop or anything. Okay, flour. Now, I'm going to do my little demonstration for people who aren't aware of terms. This is light brown sugar. There is dark brown sugar. The difference is the amount of molasses they leave in it. This, when you read a recipe, your brown sugar will call lightly packed, firmly packed, or loose. Loose, obviously, you just scoop it, level it, dump it. Now, lightly packed, you scoop it, chunky brown sugar. You do this, level it. When you put it in the bowl, it should fall apart. Now we're going to do firmly packed, because that's what we want for this recipe. And this is making a snowball, the kind you throw at your little brother. No rocks. If you pack it tight enough, it stays whole when you go to throw it. We're going to put 3 of those into our flour. I don't have a little brother, by the way. I have a little sister. And there are days I'd have smacked her with that snowball, I promise. So, I totally understand. But she is part of the reason for this show. I want her to be able to cook for herself and make her own treats. Three cups of brown sugar. Alright, now we're going to use baking powder. There's baking powder and there's baking soda. And you can tell by looking that they have different textures. They are not interchangeable. They cause completely different reactions in foods. So, we're going to put in 3 teaspoons of baking powder. And finally, for the dry ingredients, 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Okay, now, for everyone who's always wanted to know my secret for Tannies, it's this. We're going to go in here and break up every little brown sugar lump and totally mix the flour in until it is all one consistent color throughout the entire bowl. It's going to look like sand. Here we have our bowl of nice tan sand. Now we're going to make a well. A well is just what it sounds like. You've got a nice even bowl of stuff. You are going to make a little hole in the middle to catch things. I'm going to set that to the side, and I'm going to take a minute to bring my baked Tannies over here so we can prepare the pan. You can see these have settled down. And the pan's pretty cool, and I'm just going to slide those right out there.
Are you ready?
Okay.
Are you on the bowl yet?
That would be my little girl asking if the bowl is ready to be licked. Because that's her job. So, now that we've got those out of the pan, and see how easy that was to get out of the pan, they're going to sit on the counter until they're totally cool. About another 20 minutes. You can leave them longer. And now we have this completely clean pan. I would not put it back on the counter without wiping it out. But I'm happy to use it again, since it's the exact same thing. We're going to line this with foil. And lining it with foil does affect the consistency. It reflects heat into the back into the pan. And now we're going to spray. And that's prepped. I'm going to set it over here. And we're going to bring our eggs back here. We're almost done. Always pour your hot liquid into your eggs. Never pour your eggs into your hot liquid. Pouring eggs into hot liquid cooks them, poaches them, braises them, what have you. Pouring the hot liquid into the egg does what's called tempering, which means bringing the egg up to the temperature of the hot liquid. Our last ingredient, and most important, is vanilla. Always use real vanilla. Real vanilla is expensive and so worth it. Now you can make your own vanilla. You can go to the liquor store and get really cheap vodka, really cheap bourbon, really cheap rum. And you can go to Amazon and order an assortment of vanilla beans. And you can put 5 or 6 vanilla beans into your fifth and leave it in a dark corner for 3 or 4 months. And you'll have nice real vanilla. So we're going to put in 4 teaspoons of our real vanilla. In most recipes, vanilla is an emulsifier. It causes the chemical reaction that makes a batter into a cake. Pulls everything together. It does that in this recipe too, but it's also the main flavor, along with the butter. So we're just going to stir that up. Nothing fancy. And we're going to pour that into the well we made. And we're broadcasting on Twitch TV, and you can ask questions during the live broadcast. And we'll upload to YouTube later. And you can leave questions in the comments. Okay, so finally, we're just going to mix this up. Get all the flour incorporated into the butter and eggs. This dough batter is thick. It is not as thick as a cookie dough, but it is definitely much thicker than a cake batter. Wooden spoons are the best tool in the kitchen. Nearly everything I cook will use a wooden spoon. And I like the flat ones, but that's personal. And they're not expensive. You can buy expensive ones. I have some really nice bamboo ones that were a gift. But I think this is a Pampered Chef. And I have wooden spoons from the dollar store. They don't last terribly long, but they do the job. Alright, that's our batter. Bring back our prepared pan. And fill it with our batter. And then I really do want to get as much of this into the pan as I can, partly so that the Tannies get the right thickness and consistency, and partly so my daughter has a little less to lick. Alright, spread this out. It's going to need help. Push it into the corners. And it's not going to be all flat. That'll happen when it cooks. Everything will melt, flatten out. Alright. This goes into a 350-degree oven, preheated, for 40 minutes. You can test it with a toothpick when it's done. Put it in there. It should not be dry, but it should not be doughy. It should have a little crumb on it. And my towel. Now we've got our finished product here. It's not quite cooled, but you'll see when it's cooled, the foil comes off much easier. I'm going to turn it over. This is how you'll know when it's cooled. It will just peel right off, not stick to the foil. What I wanted to show was how to cut these. If you cut this pan here into 72 brownies, 72 Tannies, each one will have 69 calories. They're not diet food, they're an indulgence. And since you get 72 of them out of a pan, they're an office party indulgence or a birthday party indulgence. They're very rich. So I'm going to go in half. I'm going to cut each half in half, and in half again. Alright, going the other way, I'm going to cut it in half, and then in half. I'm going to cut each of these into thirds. These are about a 1/2 inch square. They're bite size. They're really yummy. They will keep about a week in a Ziploc bag. After which they'll start to get crispy and hard. And with the last of them, you can just dip them in your coffee or your milk. They're delicious that way. When they're warm like this and still soft, put ice cream on top of them. Or just eat them, because when they're warm, they're best. Like all brownies, the edges and corners are yummy. Most popular bits. They really aren't fancy. They really are tasty. I put these in my Christmas bags. I make cookies every Christmas for my family, my friends, my neighbors. I'm the weird neighbor lady that brings you plates of cookies. Nobody's ever told me they didn't want them. All right, just about ready here. And here we have, they're greasy when you first pull them out. But that's okay, when they cool, they get cakey and thick. It's because of all the butter. And there we have Tannies. Now, our dish for our next show will be low calorie, something you can whip together after work with a little preparation, and not terribly expensive. It's turkey cutlets in tomato cream sauce. It's served over spaghetti. It's a favorite with kids, and it's really quite yummy. So I hope you'll join us next time when we make our first savory dish. Thank you for joining us for Tannies.